The minimum wage is about respect. It's about affirming that in this country, an hour of a worker's time is worth something. Something more than the lowest number they can shake her down to, which can get pretty low when she doesn't have many other options this year and needs a roof over her head and food in her child's stomach. No, her wage should be more than that. Her wage should reflect our nation's respect for her time. And businesses and towns and states that already respect her time shouldn't have to be put at a competitive disadvantage for doing so. No one expects the minimum wage to be extravagant, just adequate. In 1968, it was that. It would keep you a bit above the poverty line, paying your bills, and still prodding you to move beyond it. And if that year's minimum wage kept pace with inflation, it would be $10.67 today. If it kept pace with the productivity of the workers it affected, it would be $22 today. If it kept pace with the incomes of many of these workers' corporate bosses, it would be $33 today. But where does the minimum wage stand today? $7.25. 30% less than it did 45 years ago. Such a decline in wages, one that dropped millions of minimum wage workers below the poverty line, is disrespectful. And we think it's time for a raise. Fortunately, there's a bill in Congress to help rectify this mistake, which would raise the minimum wage back to $10.50 per hour and finally index it to inflation. The Time for a Raise campaign is fighting to pressure Congress to pass this bill and show low-wage workers the respect they deserve. Raising the minimum wage is a smart policy for everyone. First, it's a budget-neutral stimulus. It would stimulate the economy with billions of dollars in new consumer spending, and in doing so, create jobs. On top of that, high wages decrease turnover, so productivity would increase. And all this is achieved while being budget positive, decreasing the size of government and increasing revenues. Second, it's popular. Polls show Americans overwhelmingly support raising the minimum wage. Republicans have shown support for it too. It's a powerful women's issue as well, as 2/3 of low-wage workers are women. And it's also a popular policy among historic American heroes. Capitalist Henry Ford wrote in 1926, "If an employer does not share prosperity with those who make them prosperous, then pretty soon there will be no prosperity to share." Third, it corrects policy mistakes. It was a mistake to not peg the minimum wage to inflation. Ask yourself, would any Congress between 1968 and now pass a bill to lower the minimum wage from $10.67 to $7.25? Then why should we let inflation set policy? It was a mistake to let us fall behind the rest of the world, as countries like Australia and Canada put us to shame with their higher minimum wages and lower unemployment. It was a mistake for the minimum wage's annual total to drop below the poverty line. Can anyone live on this amount per year? The raise and indexing corrects all of these, automatically correcting rates for inflation, bringing us in line with the rest of the world, and raising the minimum wage above the poverty line. Lastly, raising the minimum wage stops corporate free riding. If you don't raise the minimum wage and index it to inflation, low-wage workers become more reliant on public programs to get by. In this sense, taxpayers and small businesses foot the bill for the unconscionable low wages paid by profitable corporations. Take Walmart as an example. Walmart made $15.7 billion in profits last year, while its poverty wages forced employees to rely on billions of dollars in government help. Raising the minimum wage would stop this perversion of capitalism. And yes, at this call for respect, corporate free riders are going to be up in arms, like they always have been. In 1938, industry lobbies said the establishment of the minimum wage would lead to despair, cause chaos, destroy small industry, and be a step towards Nazism. And despite the fact that it didn't, the same rhetoric is back. But don't let the spin get to you. The price and employment effects of moderate minimum wage increases are negligible. First, because minimum wage is such a small share of production costs, the price level would not be greatly affected. If Walmart increased its minimum wage to $10 an hour and passed all of the costs onto their customers, it would only add $3 a year to each shopper's receipt. If McDonald's did the same, the price of a Big Mac would only increase by a dime. And companies that pay fair wages are doing fine. Just ask Walmart about its Ottawa store, which is profitable while paying its workers $10.25 an hour. Second, studies from before the 1990s that have connected moderate increases in the minimum wage with unemployment have been discredited. As a result, such a belief among economists is in sharp decline. So don't buy the industry spin about Econ 101 and the minimum wage. 100 economists have signed on to HR 1346, and 5 Nobel laureates have come out in favor of an increased minimum wage, with the clear message: a modest increase in the minimum wage would improve the well-being of low-wage workers and would not have the adverse effects that critics have claimed. If you are convinced it's time for a raise, here's how you can help. First, head over to timeforaraise.org and sign our petition. We know online petitions are a dime a dozen, but this time it's different. Each signature will be sorted onto separate congressional district petitions that will be presented live to each member of Congress, so every signature counts. Second, be a district captain. We are looking for noble citizens in each congressional district to gather a couple hundred signatures, be in touch with local press, and present each district petition to their member of Congress. The time commitment is low, no more than a few days this summer, and the upside is high. Exercise your civic muscles and help correct a major injustice. Email pdavis@csrl.org to join the fight. Finally, pass this video on to your friends, family, and neighbors. We need your help getting the word out that it is time for a raise. It sure has been a long time coming for a raise, and we hope you can play your part in making that happen, so that low-wage workers can get the respect they deserve.